This episode brought to you by Nicholson Realty 2.0, the Gas City Performing Arts Center, Chuck Sewer, Drain and Plumbing.
Welcome to Garage Talk. I'm Conrad. Let's go.
I'm Ted. It's time to rock and roll.
Hey, Teddy, today in the garage, we've got activist, troublemaker, and concerned community member, Molly Early. How we doing, Molly?
I'm doing good, Conrad. Yourself?
Oh, I'm great. Hey, let's start off with, tell everybody about yourself.
Sure. So, born and raised here in Grant County, town of Upland, Eastbrook graduate. Go Panthers! I know I'm in trouble now.
Ouch.
So
She did that on purpose, didn't she?
I did.
We call that the team out east.
The team out east.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, hey, the football team was horrible when I was there. They didn't get good till I left. But I'm gonna make some people mad, but that's okay. I'm used to that. So.
That's what we hear.
Yeah, right? Yeah. So, no, after graduation, went to Ball State, got a degree in public relations, and moved to Indianapolis and right after graduation and got a job at a PR firm working for pushing drugs, I guess you could say, so to speak, right?
Legal drugs.
Vaccines, writing press releases and marketing and all that stuff. And as many, I've said this before, but as many college graduates do, right? I figured out that's not what I actually wanted to do with my life. So did a stint in retail, then moved into the corporate world, specifically during the Y2K boom with a software sales company and training people, and then moved into IT recruitment. And then got a job offer to move to Florida. So moved down to Florida for about a year and then ended up in North Carolina for about 10, selling literally parts to the United States Army and for deployments and different things. I don't know how to explain it. The easiest way to explain it is giant connexes, and I would fill them with nuts and bolts and welding equipment and kinds of things. So
Nice.
Different there. And then started having kids and thought, you know what, it's time to move home. So came back to Indiana, and then life throws a curveball and get back to Grant County and been here ever since. So have an awesome husband and two amazing.
Shout out, awesome husband.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Two awesome kids still at home, and just kind of where I'm at now.
Nice. Well, I think I'm going to start, Teddy, with let's talk about the concerned community member, Molly.
Okay.
So what got you into the Grant County community concerned genre, so to speak?
Sure. So that kind of started for me last year, and just working around, our neighborhood that we live in is surrounded by farm ground, and big drainage ditch goes right behind our neighborhood, and it hadn't been taken care of in years, as a lot of things in Grant County, right, have fallen behind, unfortunately. And so they came in and cleaned it out. And a lot of people in my neighborhood got mad about it. I was not one that got mad about it because there was a lot of invasive species trees. There was a lot of invasive species plants. They had already cleaned out the beaver dams twice back there, and that they had rebuilt again. So, and there's actually a protected wetland in that little area too, that cleaning all of that out actually helped the wetland regain some of its momentum. And so I started going to the Grant County Drainage Board meetings.
Sounds like a very intense meeting.
Well, it's actually not.
Board?
Yeah, the drainage board really isn't. That their entire purpose is to keep the stormwater drains all across the county flowing so properties don't flood.
That makes sense.
Yeah, right. So, so that's their sole purpose, and tiling and farm fields and stuff like that. They do those things for the drainage purposes and all of that. So I start going to those meetings and just kind of learning why they were doing what they were doing, and then little bits and pieces, like when you read between the lines, you start hearing little things when they're talking about other drains in the county, and well, if they end up doing what they say they're going to do, then we're going to have to really put some infrastructure in out of that drain or whatever. And then it's like, well, what is it that they're saying they're going to do? So I started talking to people and found out about data center builds, found out about a feasibility study that had been published for the east side of the county, to take away farmland, which completely went against the county's comprehensive plan for what they felt was best for our county that the commissioners passed. So
You felt those were like little breadcrumbs that no one else was looking down at the ground for?
no, it seemed to me like the people in the know all knew what like the key words or the code in these meetings. And so, as some people have said, I started connecting dots. And some people didn't like that. And that led to big data centers, right? And then the commissioners published the sponsoring of those listening sessions about the feasibility study. So I came to the first one here in Gas City over at the Gas City PAC. And
Which got interesting.
it was very interesting. Made the front page of the paper with a couple of quotes. And then I started receiving all kinds of phone calls and text messages and friend requests. And it just, I've told my husband before that, I didn't set out looking for a fight. The fight kind of came to me. And so I just picked up the torch and kind of started running and started talking to landowners and other people, and started meeting city officials for Marion and county officials, and just learning. A lot of it was just learning how our county and our cities do business. And that has now given me the I guess the nickname of the most hated woman in Grant County.
Oh no, and that's society's problem these days. Not enough people connect the dots.
Right.
I'm just going to scroll on to the next thing. That's
Right.
What am I
right.
going to read next? And
Well, I was talking to an individual actually yesterday, and they said that the used to be the average person when they would scroll, right? They would look at it and they would go. It was like, from a marketing standpoint, 30 seconds before they would move on. Now it is 0.3 seconds before, and that's your TikTok reels and everything else.
We're all goldfish now. Yeah.
Sure, absolutely. So you have that's why things in marketing and advertising and everything else has gotten a lot more raunchy. It's because you got 0.3 seconds before you're on to the next thing. So
that's
Gotta
what I
grab
mean.
your attention, Teddy.
Well, that's what I mean. Social media, it's just like, something you did 10 years ago.
Sure.
Somebody knows about it, and, well, I'm going to post it today.
right.
So-and-so did this.
Yeah, and I don't think we were actually meant to know everything and have all the information of our fingertips. It,
Yep.
I mean, the kids today, like the alpha generation, calls it brain rot. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a reason it's called brain rot.
Yep. And that's,
They have to be the most informed generation because everything is at their fingertips. I remember, Teddy, when we'd have to go to the library and bust out an encyclopedia.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. My daughter, who's 17, during COVID, when you couldn't go anywhere and stuff like that, she actually read the encyclopedias at my parents' house, because they still have the World Book and the Encyclopedia Britannica,
yeah.
and she would just pick them up and start reading because there was nothing else to do, during the cold winter months of that time. So
That's cool. That's cool. So once you started going to these meetings, how frequently were you attending? You started off with the drainage, And then that progressed to where?
To straight to the commissioners' meetings in March. I didn't attend a lot of meetings between like October to March, but everything is recorded nowadays, right? So I watched all the YouTube videos and things like that. And a lot of that was just because time, right? Everybody has a life, and sometimes these meetings are held in the morning hours versus in the evenings. So you have to adjust. But I started attending regularly in March the 2nd was my first one, and I actually spoke at that March the 2nd meeting as well. So
Has all this ramped up as we've neared the primaries?
gosh, yes.
Yes?
The last 7 days has been crazy. Just absolutely crazy, with everyone talking about everything and everyone. And, you know, it's getting heavy. It's getting real heavy. And it takes a lot to juggle it all and to handle it all. You know, a lot of the questions right now aren't about developments or data centers or solar, even though they are, but a lot of it the last 7 days has been, where can I go vote? Did I miss the registration dates? Did I miss those things? Or, you know, if I register now, can I vote in November? You know, those more of those kinds of questions coming at me. Trying to help elderly folks who might be shut in, can't drive, or just people who can't drive at all, figuring out how to get them to be able to go vote. So we've been helping a lot of people go do some early voting down at the courthouse, and helping just plan out some free transportation too.
So can you explain to our listeners exactly how to register and how soon you have to be registered before you are eligible to vote?
Sure. So obviously you got to be 18, right? So I would assume that most people know that, but maybe not. So the registrations for the primary ended, I think it was like April 18th, 15th, may have been right around tax day, to register to vote for the primary on May 5th. But you can still register now and be eligible to vote in November. And you can actually, if you can Google register to vote, and it'll take you directly to the state website.
The link where you,
Yep,
okay.
and it's like, it's one click. You have to, obviously, when you do go that, you have to have a valid picture ID when you go vote. So if you don't have that, that would be step one. And then if you get your valid state ID or driver's license, you can actually register to vote at the BMV too.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's so with this primary coming up a little over a week, are we expecting a bigger turnout than normal?
So this is kind of a lull cycle, right? So there's no major governor race, there's no presidential race. So it's really focused on local.
Right.
The local races are what's hot this year. And stereotypically,
hot.
what's that?
Real hot.
Real hot.
Real hot.
real hot. Yeah.
Red button.
Yeah.
So stereotypically, that in just election history, that in of itself produces a lower turnout.
Right.
Depending on where you're at, what county you're in. Our county is a hot button right now of topics, all across the state, and a little national too. Not huge, but a little national. So I do think that there will be more of a turnout for the local elections this year than we've seen in years past.
Kind of what I was anticipating. How about you?
Yeah, definitely.
Thinking that?
The local stuff is, I'm thinking, Ted, the local stuff's juicy right now. And the juice is not sweet, it's bitter.
Yeah, for sure. It's biting a lemon, not an apple.
Yeah.
I'm thinking apple cider vinegar.
Yeah. Well, so let's talk about what's going on with some of this stuff, because I've seen recently where, they've had stuff from Chuck polling all over Facebook to, heck, it's all over the state of Indiana where one of our local elected officials got in trouble for drinking and driving or operating while under
Yeah,
the
come on,
influence.
Conrad, call a spade here.
OWI. And I feel like everybody is just trying to give each other a black eye here, and it's all the Republican Party.
That's what's crazy about it, right?
Yes.
The Democrats are just sitting back and watching us tear ourselves apart right now. I mean, I'm a registered Republican. I don't have any problem saying that out loud. I used to be a registered
nonpartisan over here. So.
Okay, that's fine. That is, hey, you know what? The way I look at things right now, I have the candidates, obviously, that I support, right? That I think are best for us. And I'm vocal about those candidates. There's no doubt about it. I mean, people will be like, well, she's said this. Yeah, I have. But within that, I mean, I used to be a registered Democrat too. So like, and then I switched affiliations as I got a little older, and just kind of my thought process has changed. And I got saved and stuff like that. So I kind of went away from the more extra liberal tickets and went more conservative. So on that side of it, though, I mean, the Democrats are just sitting back and watching us tear ourselves apart right now and just waiting to see what happens. And once they figure, not next week, but the week after that happens, then I think they'll start getting a little more vocal.
Yep.
For sure. You'll see some more heated debates.
Yes. So let's go back to what I was talking about with Chuck polling. So my understanding is, it seems like they were saying, and when I say they, I mean the people, the wonderful reporters on Facebook, and that's where a lot of people get their news.
The Facebook trolls.
And to be honest, I have too. Because I'm very busy.
Well, we don't have a true local large news source anymore, right? It's podcasts like yourselves. It's other podcasts. Most people, unfortunately, don't take the Chronicle Tribune anymore, and they sometimes tend to be a little. The newspaper.
Oh yeah.
That thing you used to open up and then wrap your birthday present with. The funnies.
I did. I used to do that, and I got made fun of because I did that.
Oh, Teddy. Remember when you used to be able to go in there and see all the box scores and all the stats? Now nothing.
No,
anyways,
now you gotta dig
I'm dating myself. So yeah, you go get your news from different podcasts, and we got some great ones here in Grant County. Ed Bounds. Do you call Rashard Tyson's kind of a podcast? It's not a podcast.
He's not a podcast. He is news and entertainment.
Right.
It's more a page, right?
Yeah. I don't know Rashard, so I don't want to give him a shout up or a shout down or push down or whatever you want to call it. There are things that I agree with that he posts, things that I don't agree with. I mean, Ed Bounds and I are friends. There's things that Ed does that I agree with, things that Ed does that I don't agree with. Just like with me, he does the same thing with me.
Yeah.
On those sides of it. So
respecting each other's opinions.
Correct. It's that in and of itself is old school these days, right? Just
for sure.
The ability to respect someone else's opinion and not be offended and
Very
move
Gen
on.
X of you, Molly. Very Gen X.
Well, I'm a baby Gen X, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. But anyway, you got me all flustered, off train of thought.
So we were talking about what they were saying about Chuck polling.
About Chuck polling, right?
And so I took a step outside of it, and yes, I voted Republican and I voted Democrat, and I hope everybody understands I've always voted in my family's and I's best interest, and I think that everyone should. And if your team wins, great. If your team loses, still support the whole team. We're all on the team. But when I seen that, I was like, hold on, wait a minute. Everybody that's releasing this, who was in charge? Because Chuck can't just make that himself and put himself with his business in there. The board has to vote on that. Who was on that board?
Yeah, so how our county government works, right, is the commissioners are like the executive branch, right? So there is still a check and some balances within your local governments, right? And the county council is like your house, your Congress, so to speak, right? They control the money. So the commissioners can vote on something, but if the council doesn't release the funding from the bank, basically, they can't do anything. So every contract that goes through the county and proposed is bidded out. Any of those things, any invoices they get, the council and the auditor have to approve those. So first and foremost, on that side of it, from the Chuck standpoint, Chuck Sewer and Drain has been in business for 40-some years in this county, right? So he's got a lot of experience. He's got those things. Of course, our county wants to stay local whenever possible with its services. That is just good business overall. So, yes.
Putting the tax dollars back into the community.
Correct, right? So just, keeping the positive circle going. So yes, obviously, there's times when Chuck has done work for the county. What I think that Facebook post did not say is this, okay? The stuff that they were specifically talking about, a lot of it had to do with the jail. The county commissioners took bids for the roof of the jail a few years ago, I believe. May even have been last year. I'm not 100% sure on the timeline. It was before I started getting really involved. The bid was $1.2 million for the roof. Okay? And as a commissioner, Chuck said, hey, that's a lot of money for us to go to the council and say, and for the sheriff to pull out of his budget too, for some of that, right? And to maintain. So Chuck's like, we have maintenance employees for this building. Let's go up there. Let's look at it. Let's see what it actually is. Let's call another roofing contractor that didn't give a bid and just that's local and see what they say. So the maintenance crew, Chuck and this other contractor, went up on the roof, found out that the whole roof did not need replaced, that there was a small portion that needed replaced, and skylights were leaking, which was causing the water buildup and the damage. So with the contractor and the maintenance crew fixed it for $26,000. So Chuck saved the county by opposing what was going on over $1 million. Oh, for sure. Why is somebody mad at that? That's what I don't understand. And it's because it's Chuck Pulley. It had one of the other commissioners had Ron Stewart or had Shane Middlesworth, I think, proposed that. I don't think that those individuals would have had as big of an issue with it. So, for sure. Okay. But yeah, so I love Chuck. I really do. And people have even gone to the point now at this point of saying, well, he's paying you off. You're on Chuck's team. Well, in all honesty and 100% transparency, in 2018, when I lived just outside of Jonesboro, Chuck Sewer and Drain did come empty my septic tank for me. I had 3 quotes. One was for $600, one was for $400, and Chuck did it for $200. So if that means I'm on Chuck's payroll, then so be it.
Yeah, that's
so.
Well, and like we've mentioned, we need to do more research as individuals because there's a lot of false claims and accusations out there.
There is.
Dig deeper, people.
Dig deeper. Dig way deeper. So moving on to another candidate and sitting elected official.
Yes.
Ron Stewart.
Sure.
This is getting interesting.
It's very interesting. And I'm going to preface this by saying that I don't agree with anyone, whether they're in an elected official or not, drinking and driving. That, you know, I just don't. I don't have tolerance for that. In the day and age that we live in, of Uber, of Lyft, of taxis, of, you know, there's free services in Grant County where you can call and get a ride home. I don't agree with someone making that decision. We all know that alcohol at that point impairs you. So you're not making sound decisions at that point. So I actually feel for the guy.
I do too.
I really do. I feel for him because I mean his life is under a microscope right now because of his choices. But that's a personal side, right?
Yeah.
When you have to, as a community, we have to be able to separate the man from the job. And the job that he currently has, that is not something that you want in your leadership doing. That's just flat out. You know, if he wants to do that in his personal life, so be it. But not when you are a sitting commissioner, especially when you're running for re-election. I mean, that in of itself, you have to think.
Yes.
So
I'm gonna be totally honest. I've made my mistakes in my life, and,
Sure.
and those were younger, Conrad. I'm a different person now, and I'm not judging Ron at all. And I do feel bad because he's being plastered all over social media. I've seen him on Fox 59. That's not fun.
No.
It's not fun, and I see people who are like, oh, he needs to pull out. He needs to take his name on the ballot. But that's not how that works.
it's a personal decision at the end of the day.
Yes.
On the election side of it, right?
Yes.
Him running for re-election, he has to make the personal decision of if he wants to continue to do that or not. But he's already a sitting commissioner, and his term technically doesn't end until the end of the year. Even if he was reelected, his new term technically doesn't start until 2027. So, let me put it this way. Here's the bare bones of it, okay? This is a second offense. It is not a first offense. It is a second offense. There are varying views on how the law works. I have looked it up. I've read the code. The code says 5 years. Some people say it's 7. Some people say it's 10. That's for a lawyer to decide on the code, the statute of whether or not a second offense would be bumped up higher. So if you just flat out take out the first offense and you look at just this offense, right? You have an OWI, which is a misdemeanor. You have a RLE, which is resisting law enforcement, felony level 6, and a resisting law enforcement misdemeanor. So when you look up the definitions of those, obviously everybody knows what OWI is. RLE is resisting arrest. A misdemeanor means that you're resisting during handcuffing, right? You're not cooperating, you're not sitting still, you're not allowing the officers to do their job. Felony RLE is fleeing, whether that is in a vehicle or on foot. That is fleeing the police after they have pursued you. That's the one that could come to bite him. Because if that charge stays as a felony, then state law says he cannot have an elected office.
Okay.
So that's the one that really, truly, for him personally, is probably going to make or break his ability to hold that office further.
Okay.
So, I mean, I have my personal opinions about it, but
That's if they don't drop the felony to a misdemeanor.
If they
And they're
do,
bringing in a special prosecutor.
yes, a special prosecutor has been assigned. That happened on Tuesday. Well, it started on Monday. The process of the paperwork started on Monday. It was actually officially released and assigned to a special prosecutor on Tuesday, which is standard practice for the legal system when it's a higher profile case like that or involves an elected official. Right now, as of today, no formal charges have been issued. We, myself, have requested the body cam footage, the dash cam footage, the officer's report, and the dispatcher's report of the 911 call that came in prior to his the officers pursuing him. So legally, it's still under county review, which is standard practice, but they're not releasing it to anybody. If you guys filed for it, they're not going to release it to you. They're not releasing it to Marion Source News, to Channel 27, to Fox 59. They're not releasing it to anyone at all. And I think that does our community a disservice. And this is why. Our community's talking about it, right? Everybody's talking about it. It's constantly, and the second you think it's going down, it's coming right back up. If I was Ron Stewart, I'd say, and I had absolutely nothing to hide about those charges, release it, put it to bed. Let's get past this, move forward. I would be fighting for that. The sheriff's office, they should truly need to release that to put this to rest so everybody can move forward. And the thing that I think that people like to forget too is that was the first night of prom season for Grant County. And Oak Hill prom was going on. And so all of those kids were coming back from prom, driving through town, all the places when all of this happened. So I think that is something that, I don't know. Conrad, you want me to tell you my personal thoughts? You want me to be 100% honest?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So 100% honesty here. It was prom night. You held a political rally fundraiser at a bar offering free drinks to police officers and first responders. Stayed at the bar late. After closing, because the Tomahawk closes at 9, he was pulled over, we know, around 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning.
I was told he left at 8:30. I was told that he left the Tomahawk around 8:30 by
A source.
A source.
Sure. I haven't heard that.
so
So if
my
he did leave at 8:30, then
where
he
was
went
he?
somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
So regardless of where he was at, he chose to continue to consume alcohol. He chose to get behind a wheel. He chose to flee police. He chose to run home. Then he chose to resist arrest a second time. These were choices that you made. And stupid games win stupid prizes. So you have to face those consequences. If our legal team, special prosecutor or not, sheriff or not, knocks these charges down, does the different things, I think that'll be a bigger stink than just accepting the consequences and moving on. Because then you're going to have everybody, you're setting a precedent then that it's what I like to call an OJ precedent, right?
Who matters?
Yep.
Right.
Who matters?
Right, you're setting what I like to call an OJ precedent, right? If he was driving a white Bronco and the glove doesn't fit, you must have quit. So, he's got standing in the community, but if you, me, or anyone else in the community was to do something like that, charges would already have been formal. We would have been sitting. Our bond wouldn't have been as low. Bonds are all over the place. All of that. We would already have our license suspended and everything. So if that precedent isn't met, then I think that the sheriff's office is really opening themselves up for a lot of unnecessary scrutiny.
Wow. That's heavy. That's I do feel bad for Ron.
I do. I
Yeah,
do.
we
I
do.
mean, listen, there's certain things, right? You say that cliche of, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy.
Yeah.
I wouldn't wish what he's going through on anybody.
no.
I mean, I'm not a heartless person, but I do believe in right and wrong.
Yeah, I'm not trying to sit here and be hypocritical or be judgmental of the man because I've been in his shoes, but I also had to do my penance, so
Yeah.
to speak. Like I had to make up for it, and I did that. And then I turned around and turned my whole life around.
Right.
And
Everybody has their rock bottom.
yeah, yeah. And I'm still not perfect. Every day is a struggle to be a better Conrad
Sure.
than I was yesterday. This though, that speaking out of the other side of my mouth. Come on, man, you're leaving a meet and greet. Somebody drive me home, please.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, enough people in this community, somebody would have given him a ride home.
Ron Morell.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Come pick me up.
Somebody.
Yeah.
I don't care who it was, and I know Grant County is not filled with Ubers, but so you got to sit there and wait another 20 minutes.
Yep.
Drink of water in that time.
But like we said, you've got people you can call that would be there in a heartbeat and get you home.
Yeah. Hey, he's not. I know he's not a big fan of me, and he doesn't have my personal phone number. But had he reached out, I'd have went and picked him up.
Well, yeah.
Because you don't want to see somebody get hurt. I mean, I think, and I'm sure he feels the same way. He is thankful that he didn't hurt himself and he didn't hurt somebody else.
And that's true.
So, with that being said, what are your feelings on this race?
I think that he needs to pull out of the race. I really do, because he's going to be facing something legal at some point, whether it's house arrest or a suspended license or any number of things. Even if the charges get knocked down, at a minimum, an OWI misdemeanor is like a suspended license. I can't remember for how long, but it's something, right? So you're going to have somebody come pick you up and bring you to the meetings. So, this is what I find funny, okay? So all this broke.
Because I know that there's been average Joes
Yeah.
get an OWI or do something very tragic, and they're dragged through the mud.
Well, and it takes forever,
their
right?
necks,
I mean, let's
yeah.
face it. Our current legal system is still recovering from COVID. 6 years later, so that he's either going to have to push it through, or it's going to go. It could be a year before he actually sees the judge. So who knows on that side of it right now? But what I honestly find funny is all this stuff my phone started blowing up at like 7 a.m. on Sunday morning. And on Monday in the mail, I got his mailer for his election campaign with his endorsement on one side from the mayor of Marion, and on the other side from Sheriff Garcia. And on that side, it says, let me pull the picture so I can quote it directly. Because I have a picture of it because I actually threw it away. So, keeping Grant County safe requires strong leadership. So you're running on a safety platform as one of your issues. How can you run on a safety platform and then do what you did? And good guy or not, how can you do that? So, and I know that And I honestly know that most of the time those guys don't even see those before they get mailed out, that the campaign does that or friends of whoever do that, and they don't even see them or approve them. I'm well aware of that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I kind of see your point. You know, you're calling it's kind of a question of integrity.
it is, right? It
Yeah.
is. For me. Maybe not for everybody, but for me, it's a question of integrity. You know, if you're saying keeping Grant County safe, but then you're out doing this, and on the other hand requires strong leadership,
So if he was a candidate and he had done this 22 years ago,
we would have never known.
I don't know about that. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't think we would have ever known. Well, one, because it would have taken a few days for it to cycle through the
Yeah.
newspaper.
Right. Yeah.
We wouldn't have known as immediate, maybe, is a better way to say it.
Okay. Yeah.
But it would have gotten out eventually. Somebody would have said something to somebody and everything else. Because let's face it, nothing in this county stays secret for long.
Amen.
So on that side of it, but yeah, so that's where I'm at with that side of it. Even before all of this, I felt that Ed Hartman was a better candidate. So that's no secret.
After speaking with him, Ted, I gotta say, he was probably the most genuine
Yeah.
person that I've gotten to talk to. I mean, I'm pretty good at judging character. Just how he carried himself.
He's humble.
Yeah, he's very humble, and I can tell that he's close to his faith, and he seems like he's got everyone's interest at heart when he wants to make decisions, if he gets the opportunity
Yes,
to make those decisions.
absolutely, for sure. I've had several conversations with Ed, and I know this when this goes out. I just want to give a shout out to his wife, Julie. She's
Super
amazing.
welcoming lady. I mean,
She is amazing. She always has a smile on her face, and I love that about her. So from one lady to another, I love Miss Julie. So
yeah, I could see why they were why they're husband and wife. They both just meeting them, and Ed by far, those kind of people are few and far between anymore. And I don't want to put the horse before the cart. Is that right? Is that how? Is it, or the
cart before the
Cart
horse.
before the horse.
Yeah, you want the horse before
you want the horse before
You
the
do.
cart.
Yeah, why not? Pull me.
Tell me you didn't grow up in Amish country without telling me you didn't grow up in Amish country.
Listen, I'm far from Amish. Ain't that right?
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty true.
But
True statement.
he he's just super genuine, super humble, and you can tell immediately. I mean,
Yeah.
so he's one of the candidates that I'm like, and I told my best friend, hey, don't let me influence you. You vote for whoever you want to vote for, but I've seen some of these candidates, and this is who I like. I mean, not saying anything bad about any others, but just, this is what you need to focus on,
Sure.
is go and do the educate yourself.
Right.
Go see what they're running on. Go see what they're about. Talk to them. Find out why they're running on what they're running on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think all of the candidates, no matter if it's who it is, right?
Yeah.
They all have a Facebook page for their election. So you can go and they have their issues set there. If you're not a Facebook person, which, the over 65 groups, a lot of them aren't, right? Or over 70 group, like my parents. They have no interest in social media ever, nor will they ever.
Right.
And that's totally normal and totally fine. But call them. I know a lot of these guys would absolutely welcome an email or a phone call from any concerned Grant County resident that just wants to get to know. Or hey, go to a meet and greet.
Yep.
Go to a meet and greet, meet them, talk to them. You'll learn a lot, not just by talking to them, but also watching the people who are around them and who they are interacting with and who is on their social media all the time, and just people watch. I mean, we used to go to the North Park Mall and sit and people watch.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, I'm dating myself there, right?
Yeah. Were you always down towards Walden Books, or which end were you at? I was always down towards the movie theater end.
I think so. Listen, I had very strict mother. So when I was allowed to go to the mall by myself, I was at the movie theater end. But when I wasn't, I was on the other end, like a good little upland girl. So
You're talking about people watching. Before I got here, I had made that comment to somebody out at Matter Park, however they say it. Some people I know from here in town were sitting on the bench, and you see something that just kind of, your eyes get big. I looked at them and said, it's kind of like sitting at the mall. They're like exactly right. You go there and people watch.
yeah, because
Like you said, go watch them.
especially in this day and age, people do not. People are so used to the videos of everything or somebody having their phone. We are so numb to being watched
Right.
that we don't even realize what we do half the time in public. So
But that is a good point, like go to a meet and greet and don't just focus on who you're wanting to learn more about, but that's good advice.
Watch the
the people around them.
yeah, watch the people around them. Watch who they're associating with. Watch. Go to the state website, Secretary of State's website, and look up their campaign contributions.
Yeah.
Look who's getting money from whom and where it's coming from. And then if you don't understand what that company is or that place is, look them up. And just, again, it's educate yourself, right? It's all about educating yourself and, like you said, Conrad, making the best decision for you and your family.
Yes.
And I think if everyone did that more often, our community would grow naturally.
And that's another point. Just the last couple of days, it's been big news. Where's my donations coming from?
Yeah.
Sure, absolutely. And I think that's important to look at, right? Because do we want big corporations who have no local tie in Grant County funding and influencing our candidates that make our laws? Because nothing in this world is for free.
Yep.
International companies.
And international companies too. Not just, DC money, state money,
Yeah.
all of those things. Where's your PAC money coming from? What is that packet? What is that? Who's giving money to that? Who's individually giving money too, right? You don't want to skip over those contributions either, because sometimes you might see some names on those lists that you wouldn't like, so that could have been involved in corruption in previous years in the county or the state or something else. So
Sometimes you gotta go and you gotta jump down that rabbit hole. I like to do it about 5, 6 a.m. when I'm drinking a cup of coffee and I'm sitting in the dark. That's only about quiet time at my house there is. And I call it doom scrolling, because I'm looking people up and then I'm following and because I'm done drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm done. I want to know. I'm not going to take your word for it. I'm going to keep digging and digging and digging. And if I've spent an hour and 45 minutes and I haven't found nothing, then you must be good.
Or you're hiding it really well.
Yeah.
There's the other side, the other flip side to
It
that
costs
coin.
a lot of money to scrub the internet of
Yeah,
anything.
if you're trying to scrub the internet, yeah, you are things, but you're
Speaking
definitely
of scrub. Can I be the troublemaker now, Molly?
absolutely.
Okay. All right. Is it real? Is it gonna happen? Are data centers coming?
Yeah.
How do we know, and what do we need to know?
Yeah. Yes, it is real. Yes, they are coming. Even though it's not public and everyone will say, oh, now you're connecting dots you shouldn't be connecting. No, it's coming. And right now myself, kind of, I guess, is the public face of it currently in the county, and those around who are supporting our efforts of research and FOIA, or APRA is what the state of Indiana calls it, Public Information Act, findings, looking for things, doing all that stuff. It's coming. We already know. All you have to do is go watch the economic development meetings, the commission meetings from the Grant County. They talk about the Dana building, the old Dana Court building. They talk about it, about what's going to happen with it, where it's going. It was pulled out of the tax sale. The city requested that the county pull it out of the tax sale, and then had conversations because the county, the commissioners are the only ones who can relinquish property taxes. A city cannot relinquish it. So it had over $3 million in back property taxes, the old Dana building did. So it had changed hands a couple of times. It is a brownfield, which for those that don't know what a brownfield is, that is an environmental contamination. They dumped a lot of stuff back there and on the back of that property that they should have never dumped. Which, if you want to rabbit trail that later, find out you'll get some interesting pieces on that. Who allowed them to do that? Who allowed Dana to do that? So,
Noted.
so they dumped stuff that they weren't supposed to dump in that. So it turned it into a contamination field. So that also adds another layer of complexity to it. So the county told the city that they would sell the property, take bids, recoup what they could recoup on their back taxes. And then once that went through and the developer was selected, then the city would get the property back to collect taxes from moving forward, all of those things. So if you watch the county meeting, there were 4 bids that were opened, were read. One bid was accepted from a company called GM Development, not General Motors, just a different company. When you research GM Development, you find that they primarily develop data centers. They do other types of builds too. They are currently building the Boone County Jail. So there's another rabbit trail for you to go down. So since they're trying to build a new jail in the county too, right? So lots of different pieces there. I met with Marion's Mayor Morrell, and he and I talked about that. And he knows already that I recorded that meeting. Indiana is a one-party state. I am allowed to do so.
It sure is.
So, and don't think for one second that he wasn't also recording the meeting. So he and I talked about the Dana property. He said the exact same things, right? The information is exactly the same, except he said 5 bids, but it was actually only 4, and that's just a normal human error there. So, and he flat told me that they accepted, when in his own words, a data center bid, not a developer, a data center bid. So, and he's in the meetings with the county knowing what's going on. So, It's not too hard to figure that out. That eventually that is going to happen. Now, the last Economic Development Commission meeting was canceled. They said it was due to a lack of agenda items. I don't believe that for a second. It's because the county fired the consulting firm that the guy was heading up our Economic Development Commission, whatever they call it.
Yeah.
So until they figure out kind of, I think, a path forward, I don't know that they might be having executive meetings, but they won't have a public meeting. So,
And speaking of that, because, the stink that this has brought about the last couple months, so many are opposing this, but didn't I read something about there was a referendum or something
moratorium?
made for a moratorium, and it was actually
not legal.
not legal. Yes.
Yeah.
Can you explain that one?
Yeah,
real
I
quick?
can, because that was me that posted all that information out about it, right? Because at that very first commissioners meeting we talked about and I spoke at, Ron Stewart was the one that proposed that 2-year moratorium. That happened to be that day, which it kind of goes backwards. How it's supposed to happen is if the commissioners get an idea, they can discuss it and move it down to things. But typically how it's supposed to go is Board of Zoning does it first, and then the Area Plan Commission gets it, finalizes it through legal, and then sends it to the commissioners for approval. This one went backwards, which whatever, that's splitting hairs when you think about that side of it. But current state law requires that to pass a moratorium in local government, whether it's city or county, you have to have an area plan commission, which we do. You have to have an approved comprehensive plan, which we do as of 2024. And it has to have a 10-day notice and public hearing prior to its passing. That's where the hiccup comes in, okay? So they passed all this information out, said it passed. They sent it to the Chronicle Tribune. Chronicle Tribune put out it passed, but there was no 10-day notice to the public and no public hearing. So it's not legal. The other piece is, too, if they put anything in that moratorium about energy saving or energy, Green New Deal stuff at all, it can only be for a period of less than 1 year, and this one was proposed for 2 years. So there's lots of things about it. So right now, Grant County does not have a data center moratorium. We are unprotected from that side of it. There is a subcommittee through the area plan developing an actual ordinance. So the ordinance is being developed and the moratorium also is being developed through the area plan, and hopefully those will be ready for public hearing here soon, because I am on that data center subcommittee. So,
Okay. So it sounds to me like research wasn't done to know between a 2-year and a 1 year, knowing that it should have been 1 year, which you said, that, or 1 year or less. Is that what you said? How you
1
stated
year or
it?
less. Yeah.
And then, but this was also kind of sped through, right?
Not just sped through, it wasn't even put through because there was
yeah,
no
and that's-
10-day notice and no public
So
hearing.
there,
So what all that has been done is the commissioners talked about putting a moratorium in place. They all agreed, yes, we need a moratorium, and let's start the process of doing the moratorium. But it's being politically posted as being passed, and
Yes.
that's not true.
so it's politically posted as passed and legal.
Correct, which
both,
it is
both
not.
are wrong.
Both are wrong.
Okay.
So.
Oh my.
So yeah, it gets deep, right? And that's just the
Yeah.
Dana Building, Dana Center, right? Now you talk about exit 255 at 69 and 26, which affects directly the residents of Gas City, and the west side of Marion, which is the one that's currently got the most attention, which is actually behind the old Dana property.
Right.
So
So if this is definitely happening, why not just say it? Why not just say, hey,
Because they've all signed non-disclosure agreements.
yeah, but I mean, they can say we signed an NDA.
They can say we signed
So
one and we
just
can't
say
talk
it.
about it. Well, that's the thing, right? I met
That tells you right there it's gonna happen.
right. I met with Miss Robin Schaefer. Is that how you say her name? Shader. She's the executive director of Marion Utilities, the water company, and trash pickup and stuff like that for the city of Marion. I met with her directly. I will never allow anyone ever to talk bad about her in my presence or on Facebook, because that woman was 100% honest with me. She is such a nice lady. Her employees stand up for her. All of them, from the guy who runs the trash truck down the street in Marion all the way up to her executive team. She is amazing. She educated me about Marion's water sources, not their sources, I already knew that, about the patterns for the last 20 years of water, all of those things. So when I met with her, she automatically knew. She's like, I already know you're going to ask me about data centers on the west side of Marion, and I can't talk about it. She said, I'm going to tell you flat honestly, I have signed an NDA. And she said, it's standard business practice when developments want to come that elected officials and those who are in the development process before it gets released to the public all sign NDAs. So I can't tell you where it's coming, what it's happening, what it is, she said, but I have signed an NDA.
Okay, good.
So, and that's why she's the only elected well, she's not elected, she's hired, but she's the only official in the city of Marion or Grant County who has been 100% honest with me about any of it, other than Chuck Bowling. So,
wow.
It's coming. It's
this-
coming. We know. I have seen the intent to sell letters that the landowners have signed. I have seen them with my own eyes. I'm not going to tell you what landowners it is, because that's not my business. That's their business to share. But we have seen. I have seen them. Other people have seen them. And it's at this point, it's just an intent to sell. But it's like, at minimum, it's 400 acres, and it goes all the way to Sweetser town limits.
Molly, I'm gonna pose this question because we like to try and understand both sides of it. If you're one of those landowners and somebody knocks on your door and they say, "Hey, how many acres do you got?" I got 100.
Well, they already know how many acres, because that's
Yeah.
public information through the assessor's office.
And then they go, "Hey, well, I got a check for $90,000 an acre." How do you say no to that?
Well, some people didn't, and some people did. I do not blame the landowner. Let's face it, farming's expensive, right? Tractors, millions of dollars in equipment.
I would love to say I cannot be bought, but I'm a person of integrity. So I try and make it outside the realm of,
Sure,
you know what I mean?
sure.
I try not to put myself in position where somebody's going to buy me.
Right. I don't blame them. When you look at it, right, and let's face it, our ag industry, we lose farms daily. The amount of agricultural land just in the nation alone has dropped significantly in the last 5 to 10 years. And the farmers, not every kid of a farmer wants to take over the family farm. So some of them are getting to retirement age, and the guys that work on their equipment are retirement age, and they're ready to retire.
Let me go back and
Yeah.
reiterate. If somebody came and offered me $280,000 for my house, I'm tempted to sell it. I'm not saying like they can't buy my boat. They can't buy the stuff that I represent. They cannot buy. But if they
Sure, they
try
can't buy your heart, but they
Yeah.
can buy your land. Is that what
Yeah,
you're saying?
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I get that too, right? And you know, but I guess for me personally, I also look at it as, well, why are you offering me that much money for my property, for my house, when I know it's worth this? I mean, we know the average farm ground in Grant County is 10 to 15,000 an acre, right? I've seen offers from 80 to 90 plus thousand an acre. Wow. So you're talking millions of dollars to buy farmland. If you, you know, I would sit and go, why are you offering so much? I'm going to question that.
Yeah.
And think it too, then, okay, well, how's that going to affect those around me? How's that going to affect my community? How is that going to affect my soul too?
Right,
I
right.
mean, no offense, but you're not going to buy me for 20 pieces of silver. You're just not going to do it.
And I totally get that. But there are some people that have worked their whole lives and worked, and some of those farms are generational. And
They are.
And they're seeing how, because I remember as a kid, whatever the farmers wanted,
Farmers got typically.
the farmers got through their political party.
Yep.
And it was, the farmers were the heart of America. And now I feel like technology is like, it's like watching The Matrix.
Oh, it is the Matrix, and so
Like,
we're living
we're
in the
having
Matrix,
to
right?
choose between
We
the
are.
two pills. And so for me, my elected officials, I need for them to say, hey, if
Grant County's not for sale.
Grant County's not for sale, and if it's too late and they're coming, there's got to be something enacted to where these companies aren't going to come there and say, okay, it's time for an update. And it's not like updating your phone.
No.
They can say, you know what? It's cheaper for us to build new than it is to remodel.
Well, think about this county, right? This county has traditionally been ag and manufacturing for generations, okay? When NAFTA was passed in the 90s, half of our manufacturing left the county, okay? What's going to happen when technology advances to a degree that these giant buildings are no longer sustainable? Okay. Currently, if you actually read the tech magazines and the tech information, it's already outgrowing it. I mean, at the beginning of the year, the tech industry that is building data centers, the big four, Google, Amazon, Meta AI, and Dad burn it now, I can't remember the fourth one. Google, Meta, AI, Amazon, and
ChatGPT.
no, that's OpenAI.
OpenAI.
That's it basically. Yeah. So they already predicted a $400 million loss for the first quarter, and they're still building these billion-dollar facilities. It's crazy to me.
They're going to need bigger facilities because my ChatGPT is dumb AF. Sorry, he's probably listening to me right now.
Oh, they're all listening.
Yeah, they are.
And I named this dude Einstein. He don't know.
He doesn't know diddly. He doesn't know E equals MC squared.
I think he's a toddler. This is the toddler stage of AI.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, right? The CEO and founder of OpenAI in a press release a couple of months ago actually said that he sees intelligence as the next commodity, and that they will be able to charge a price for how intelligent you actually want to be. And it'll be subscription based, which they already do subscriptions for AI, depending on how fast you want it, how much information you want it.
Yep.
It's only going to get worse. Apple is actually developing. This is what's crazy about it. Okay, Apple has already got developed and in testing form and should be out probably by the end of the year or early next year. An AI model that will sit on your desktop. It is about, it's a box that's about 9 inches by 8 inches, and it sits on your desktop. And it runs faster and can hold more information than one of these giant buildings does. So we all, listen, look, just think about it from when we were all kids, right? There was, you had the Zach Morris cell phone, and you had to be rich to have one.
Yeah.
And now we have mini computers in our hands.
Then it was 9 to 9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, think about how quickly it has grown over the last 20-year period, let alone the last 5-year period. I mean, really what did us in with the tech boom was COVID. And because everybody, with the quarantining and everything else, everybody went through
there
it.
and they were coding.
Yeah, exactly. So there's lots of things that we can go into when it comes to a data center, and I still want to give my east side of the county shout outs, because that exit 255 deal is shady too. It's just crazy, and it's shady. Yeah. And the residents of Gas City would ultimately pay for that, because the comprehensive plan would not currently allow the taking of prime farmland. So a city at this point has to annex the land to build. So in that feasibility study, when you read it, they did infrastructure studies as well for all of the surrounding towns of that 2,000 acres of farmland. Well, actually, it was closer to 3,000. It was 2,800 acres of farmland. Upland, Matthews, Fairmount, Fowlerton, and Gas City, right? Well, we all know Fowlerton it is not going to handle that, right? Mm-hmm. That is the smallest of the communities out of all of them. Matthews is the next smallest. They don't have the capabilities of infrastructure with water and electrical grid. Then you would have, so then that takes it to Upland and Fairmount. Upland's got the water resources, but not the power grid. Fairmount had the power grid, but not the water resources. Guess what city has both?
Right here where we're at.
Gas City has both the ability for infrastructure to run piping, for water and drainage, as well as the electrical grid. So if you really think the mayor of Gas City, Bill Rock, is going to allow the city of Marion or anything else to outdo him, right? I don't know Bill Rock personally, but I know he's a competitive guy, right? And from everything I have ever encountered with him, he's a good guy. I don't think that he would put his citizens in danger. I just don't think he would, of either running out of water or outpricing their electrical bills to where people will leave the city of Gas City because they can't afford to stay here. I don't think he'd allow it.
He's trying to grow this MFer.
Right.
He's trying to have this population boom, so to speak. But
right.
I think that this is why I've been saying, like, educate yourselves. If you go into that polling center, and once you go into that little booth, if you don't know that candidate, you don't have to hit that button.
Right.
You can leave it blank. You don't have to push a vote forward by any means. So.
And do as much research as possible.
Yep.
I challenge everyone. When you look at a candidate, look at their attendance. Are they showing up for the meetings? Are they doing personal development? Find out. Someone will tell you.
Well, that's just it, right? Our county and our cities deserve
professional development.
Deserve leaders who are going to show up for the citizens, right? Oh gosh, I am losing my words. This is what happens when we get old, right?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so the term of the day right now, when it comes to a couple of different things, is taking those precious words of our Constitution, right? We the people, for the people, by the people. That is turning into a more modern day election for grassroots campaigns. And then the other one that is out there are laws for thee, but not for me, from a class or entitlement standpoint. So we need leaders who are going to protect us, grow us, and do what's right, just every day.
We elect you to take care of us.
Sure.
To figure things
We
out.
trust you,
Yes.
Yeah, I want you to be committed.
right?
I want you, I'm voting in my best interest, take care of all of our best interests.
Yes.
And
Right. What and what is what's always good for the goose is not necessarily always good for the gander, right? Or
Yeah.
we don't want Indianapolis, the state house, making decisions that affect our county when they don't live here, they don't work here, they don't their kids don't go to school here. Like
Yeah.
those kinds of things. I believe in home rule, right? We have gotten away and allowed government just in general to take our rights away. I'll give a little shout out to my husband here because he thinks it all started with the seatbelt laws.
I think so too.
Right?
I always had this conspiracy thought. I want to pull you over.
Right. Yeah. So, hey, I wear my seatbelt all the time. I wore my seatbelt before it was a law, though. So, but I think just someone having to tell me, well, if you don't have your seatbelt on, it's going to cost you this amount of money because we're worried you're going to have an accident and hurt yourself. Well, isn't that my choice? I mean, it's people's choice to drink and drive. It's people's choice. Sorry, shots fired there.
Molly, and that's kind of what I got married. I needed to find somebody that was smart enough for the both of us.
He's not going to like the fact that you said that about your wife will love that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Well, I'm saying for me, and it took me a long time to get my shit together, but somebody, I mean, I don't even know how I got to Teddy's without her riding shotgun. But I figured it out.
oh my.
Yeah, but sometimes, you do want somebody who's going to say, hey, I'm looking towards the future.
Right.
Because it used to be, Teddy remembers, he was there, when they had the little hip and they got rid of that because people's spines were getting snapped and they were.
Right.
So, and now.
Well, you used to not have headrests on cars.
Yeah.
And then the headrest, that was first, right? The headrest came in and, I knew a lot of guys that worked at the GM plant here locally up in headrest, and majority of them died of cancer, unfortunately, because of the chemicals that they had to use to glue everything together. But, and back then they didn't make you wear earplugs or breathing apparatuses or any of that stuff.
Put babies in car seats.
Oh, I didn't. I wasn't in a car seat. I slept on the dash.
I remember being in the back dash, like.
The back window.
Yeah, the back window.
You know how they have dogs where their heads bob?
Oh, yeah.
I was the kid in there. Like,
Well, yeah. Hey, listen, like my parents' best friends, and they lived actually in Jonesboro, but they had an old Chevy station wagon where the seat still faced back.
Yeah.
All of us kids fought to get to that back seat. Everybody did. So I don't believe that. I believe that in our big picture, future picture talking of today, we don't think about our kids and our grandkids enough of the effects that the issues now are going to be having on them and the debt that we could potentially leave them in.
Exactly.
But I also think that times I think one of our biggest mistakes ever was taking a cell phone and putting a computer in it. You know,
You can't put the toothpaste back in the
no,
tube.
you can't
I got
put it
that
back in the
one
tube.
right.
You
right?
did. You
Yeah.
did. Can't put the rabbit back in the hat.
Going back to the candidates, I also want my candidate to be forward thinking. Like for me, I always live it like I want to make choices that after I'm gone and done with this and somebody else comes and takes my position, they don't have to
Clean up my
backtrack
mess.
and clean up my mess.
Clean up your own mess.
Yeah. I want everybody to get in that seat and be like, damn, Conrad
Right.
left the seat warm and there's nothing. I mean, it's pretty easy.
Right.
Like it's easy from here.
Well, my sister and I were talking several months ago, and we were just talking about parenting and advice to give parents, other parents or our children and things like that. And she said actually one of the best pieces of advice she was ever given, and she gifted it to me. And so now I have adopted this very much as well, which is a lot of the decisions that we face in life are not good or bad decisions. They are better or best decisions. And not just as parents, but as a community, and especially as leadership in our cities and counties locally. Just because it seems like a good decision doesn't mean that it is. There could be a better decision, or the best decision may be a little bit more down the road. And we need to think like that, and not in terms of the almighty dollar sign. So,
Ted, you got anything to add?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay.
A lot of interesting facts here.
Yeah, Molly, we're going to end up having to ask you back.
okay, I'd be
Is
happy to
this-
come back.
And I can't speak for Ted, but for me, you're my favorite troublemaker with the best of intentions.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, there's another troublemaker that I'm not even going to say her name because I've been trying to convince. She knows who she is.
She knows. She knows.
She knows who she is.
She's my not so silent partner.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I know.
yeah, absolutely. No.
Maybe she'll get so mad at something that she's going to be like, you know what? I'm going on
She's
everything
already
now.
mad. She's already mad. She's mad about how the leaders just have brushed off the average citizen and are taking no accountability. And that if we want to leave it at that, it's if you make your mess, clean it up, take accountability for your actions, and take about accountability for the community that you have been elected to serve. First and foremost, you were elected to serve the citizens